We will start on the first theme of governance with the sub-theme of crime and security. We'll start with you, President Mahama. The question is, how do you plan to tackle crime, especially armed robbery, drug trafficking, and white-collar crime?
Thank you very much, and thanks once again for this opportunity. Crime is an issue that concerns the environment in any country that can hinder progress and development. And so it's important that governments put crime fighting at the top of the agenda. Under this current administration, we have taken a lot of steps to try and battle crime and reduce it to the barest minimum. One of the major successes we have gained is a drop in crime statistics. And I'll give you, for instance, robbery. There's been a drop in reported robbery cases from 4,753 in 2008 to 3,909 in 2012. And if you look at other cases, there have been quite significant drops. It is only in the area of defilement and rape that we're not seeing sufficient reduction. What this government has done is to apply technology, personnel, and equipment to improve the crime-fighting institutions. And so the police have received vehicles, they have received protective gear for the fight against armed robbery. They have received communications equipment to be able to communicate effectively in the fight against crime. Aside from that, we have strengthened their laboratory support in terms of the forensic lab. We have overhauled their forensic lab completely to provide for ballistic testing, to provide for DNA testing, to provide for testing of narcotic drugs. And in addition to that, we have also increased the number of personnel. Over the last 4 years, we've recruited 4,000 new police personnel to beef up the numbers in order to make sure that their presence is more felt. With regards to narcotics, we have increased funding to the Narcotics Control Board from a little over 1 million Ghana cedis to 7 million Ghana cedis over the last 4 years. This has helped the Narcotics Control Board to increase its capacity to detect narcotics. We have also strengthened our collaboration with our foreign partners to strengthen detection and prevention and also arrest. And if you look at the statistics, there's been a significant drop in reported cases of narcotics. White-collar crime continues to be an important subject, and we are adding it to the curriculum of the police service in order that they coach police officers on detecting white-collar crime. IOCO's law has been revised, and they have seen significant appreciation in their funding in order that they can fight white-collar crime, especially cybercrime. And this is giving us some significant results. IOCO is having a higher morale, and they are carrying out their mandate in a more effective manner than they did.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to go to Mr. Abu Sakara Foster, Dr. Abu Sakara Foster.
Good evening. Crime takes all shapes and forms, and it needs to be tackled in a comprehensive framework of national security, as well as education, and then the preventive and punitive measures. At the national security level, we'll strengthen our immigration, our police, and our law enforcement officers undercover. We shall also fight crime in communities by establishing a People's Information and Suggestions Complaints Office in every district and in workplaces, so as to better detect crime and have a catalog of actions that have been taken and actions that have not been taken. The key thing is to be an enforcing government. If we begin to enforce and implement, the deterrents will be there, as well as the reforms and institutional structures that we put in place. But if we do not address the issue of attitudinal changes in our society, then we will only be treating the symptoms. Therefore, strengthening discipline in our youth by ensuring that we have a 1-year military training program for all 18-year-olds and ROTCs while they're at school is important. We cannot leave that unattended. There are, of course, other crimes which are committed in offices and high places. Those are the crimes that are a hole in the economy. And this we will take by ensuring that we strengthen the economic crimes unit, just not by training alone, but also retooling them and ensuring that we select the right people to put in those places. Ultimately, we have had significant institutional reforms that look at equipment, skills, etc. Those have been going on, and the magnitude of impact is limited. We need to address it at the fundamental problem, at the fundamental level as a society, and address those issues which speak to what we see to be right in our community and what we see to be wrong. We must therefore mobilize public opinion strongly against corruption and ensure that it is not something that is condoned in our society and it is punished when it is detected. Along with the other measures we shall take are the incentives. It is clear that many of our security people guarding our borders, standing in rain while we are asleep at night, retire after 27 years with a meager package of not more than 27,000 Ghana cedis. This obviously is not enough when our parliamentarians walk away with 80,000 cedis after 4 years service.
Thank you, Dr. Sakara. Let me go to Mr. Hassan Ayaga of the PNC.
Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity. Our dear nation has enjoyed peace and security over the past 2 decades, thanks to the vigilance of our security services. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate our men and women in uniform for a good job done. Well, when I am elected as president, I will ensure that the peace and security that the nation enjoys is consolidated and strengthened by putting in place the following measures. Before that, in Ghana, only a segment of the population is living in peace and security. The majority of the persons are living in various degrees of insecurity. The rich build walls, tall walls, around their houses, add barbed wires, and add electrical fences. Then additional rare 20 dogs and high private security for their gate men. I will fight crime through many measures. The first measure is to modernize and re-equip the armed forces and the police and other security agencies with the latest weapon and hardware to enable them to perform more effectively and efficiently. We will bring back the border guards concept, equip them to police our borders and all entry points, increase the number of police personnel to the ratio of 1 police officer to 300 people. We will also provide and deploy the most advanced closed-circuit monitoring system at all the country's entry point and government establishment to further enhance the work of security agencies. But we all are involved in maintaining peace and controlling crimes. It is not just the security as individuals in your homes and houses. When you see burglary going on, somebody in another person's house, if you cannot control it, you just inform the police. We will put up telephone lines free of charge that people could easily access the police, so that when we equip them with the modern vehicles, like the NDC have done, we will continue to give them more and more equipped other vehicles to support them, and they will be able to control crime in more than 24 hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ayarga. Let me go to the MPP's Nana Akufo-Addo.
Thank you very much, Kojo. And let me say good evening to everybody here and to fellow Ghanaians. The question you've asked is a question of great importance for the lives of our people. The security of everyday life is probably the most fundamental requirement of any citizen in any society. And our people have been confronted recently with significant increases in crime, robbery especially, I'm surprised to hear the statement that the statistics indicate that there's been a drop. I wonder whether it is like the single-digit inflation, that there is a disconnect between the figures and the reality on the ground. Most people will be astonished to hear that. Armed robbery is on the increase. And it makes a mockery of the claim that was made that armed robbery would become a thing of the past, which was promised by the NDC in the 2008 election. Be that as may. Clearly, we're dealing with a matter that requires a very comprehensive response. A response about the strengthening of the institutions that have the frontline duty of combating crime, talking, of course, there principally of the police. I have been, and I continue, and our party continues to be, for a rapid expansion of the numbers of our police service. We have a ratio of 1 to 1,200 in our country, when the UN benchmark talks of 1 to 500. So that's an area that we can do something about immediately. And by increasing the strength of the police service, of course, also enhancing their capability, giving them better and more well-resourced tools to carry out their work. The police cry that they don't have fuel for their vehicles when you call upon them. It's not something that should be allowed to continue. So that's one. Secondly, obviously, the other aspect of law enforcement, that is the Ministry of Justice as well as the judiciary, equally need to be strengthened for them to be able to work more efficiently and more effectively. We're then dealing also with what we need to do to expand our economy, because an expanded economy and an enhanced economy will mean that the resort to armed robbery and to crime, hopefully, will diminish. That connection has been made in other parts of the world, and it's a connection that we can make here as well. Focus also on what we need to do to improve the living standards of our people, enhance their living standards, and in that process, I'm also certain that we will come to better grips with the issue of crime in our country.